There we go. I had to make sure the Wi-Fi was turned on. Who's watching right now? We're here in Seattle. I'm going to type a couple things in, so I'll be quiet for a second. It's a student noise debt brigade. It happens every Wednesday here. I've been told to tweet out to a whole bunch of people, so I have to tweet out. Sorry.
Be up personally.
How was that?
They like walked me and all.
Yeah, I've always been like, okay, I'll get back.
How's everybody doing?
Hey everybody, this is my first time at the Student Debt March. I'm a Student Debt March person. Thank you. Okay. I'm also a recent graduate of Antioch University, and I am now, as of June, $25,000 in debt for my education. And I'm still paying for another degree that I got 15 years ago. I wanted to go to school because I thought it would provide me more opportunities. I'd been out of the job market for a long time, raising kids, and I couldn't get a job. People wanted more education. So I decided to go back to school to get more education. And now, 2 years later, I have even less hope of finding a job than I did when I started. Thank you. So, you know, if I had the money to pay for this, it wouldn't be a big deal. But this is going to be a huge strain on my family for the next probably 20 to 25 years that I will be paying for this. And that is wrong. Public education, the California state school system and the New York state school system in my lifetime were free. You could get a UC Berkeley education for free. And now, instead of providing opportunity for young people, our elected officials and corporations have decided that they're the ones who should suck up all the opportunity and literally suck out wealth from our communities by not providing education. So I'm here in solidarity with you all, with other students around the country, with students around the world who are calling for this, calling for free education, fighting corporate power who are trying to raise the price of our education and buying our democracy. So thank you. I look forward to marching with you all tonight.
You're up. I think.
Take that deck off.
So I think that it may help actually if someone is standing, so it's pointing the microphone down. When it's pointing up, it's actually not. Yeah, you can't hear it. You may want to stand up on the stage. Yeah. Photo op. Hello. I, like many of you, am here because tuition is becoming, tuition is increasing, and
Chest, chest.
I guess my voice is really quiet. I'm here because higher education is becoming increasingly inaccessible, and I personally have just graduated with a degree from nursing at the University of Washington.
Please go. You have to hold the microphone. There you go. Yeah.
With a degree in nursing from the University of Washington. Unfortunately, well, when I went into nursing school, it was supposed to be a promising thing. Everybody always says, nurses can always find jobs. That's a good profession. And I went into it thinking that any debt I accumulated, I would be able to pay off relatively quickly because I'd find a job. That's not the case for nurses right now. The majority of people in my class have been unable to find work. And this hiring cycle is kind of done now, so next time they have a chance of getting a job anywhere in Seattle will be September-ish or then January. I don't know. But anyways, it's kind of scary and also frustrating not to be able to find work and not to know how to pay for not only this debt, but to just pay for living expenses until I can hopefully, fingers crossed, find a job.
Anybody want to step up and speak into the microphone?
Someone else has got to have it. There we go.
Woohoo! Go Kaylee!
I have a little book sitting on my desk table for the longest time, but I don't think I ever read through it. One of them is,
I have one ear plugged in, so I should be talking loud, right? Alright, maybe some of you can read my sign, for me sign. I'm $102 or something $1,000 in debt from a bachelor's degree in international conflict and communications from a private liberal arts school. That is what I wanted to study and what I want to do with my life, which I am right now, just being employed for this 1 month, is training young people, high school students, in effective organizing, effective community organizing for true equity and justice. And I'm not a member of the most oppressed class. I mean, there are a lot of less privileges that I could have in my pocket. And where would I be if I had one less privilege in my pocket? I'd be dead or out in the street. Because I also have ongoing medical conditions that cost me over $300 every 2 weeks that I have to pay out of pocket. That's wrong, right? And so it is possible. I was telling people the other day that it can just start with a couple of us, a couple students saying, this is not the way that society creates the future. This is how we completely decimate our future. So it starts with us, and even if we don't double every week, we're still making a difference. We're still showing that there is an opposition.
Anybody else? Someone come up and speak down.
I'll say something.
Here in Seattle at SCCC Community College. The Student Debt Noise Brigade.
My student debt, my student loan debt is currently, well, it started out at $41,000 and it's down to $25,000, but that's still a hell of a lot of money. And I haven't been at school in 15 years, and I've been paying that entire time, so that sucks.
I have a 17-year-old son, and I am so worried about how the hell am I going to be able to afford sending him to college. I'm obviously not going to be able to afford it. I do not want him to get into debt because you become a slave of the system from the very get-go. So I am really, really upset that I might not be able to offer my son the opportunity of higher education. And I grew up in Europe, and I was able to go to one of the best colleges in London, and for very little money. And then I was able to spend 10 years volunteering in Africa and Latin America.
Right.
If I had left college with $40, $50, $100,000 in debt, I would have never have been able to do that. So this is just absolutely wrong, and we have to, change the system so our children and us, anybody, can have a higher education and not have to get in debt.
Hi, so I'm Emily. I'm your local street medic. I go to CLU, and so you can imagine what it's like to pay for that school. Currently, they're raising the tuition to $45,000 a year next year. I work 4 jobs, so I don't have to take out loans. I work over 60 hours a week at different time periods. I actually decided not to take summer courses this year because I just want to break even this upcoming year. I'll be lucky if I'm able to.
So Sally Mae called my mother to try to get her to pay my student loans. She is 64, works in a factory that has capped her salary. They're non-union. She had carpal tunnel surgery. The doctors at the factory told her she had to go back to work after 2 weeks. And Sally Mae was coming after her for a $500 payment on a $5,000 student loan to go to a trade school.
F that!
So, yeah.
Just a quick reminder, we largely left in 10 minutes. Let's continue though.
7. Hi, do you guys like my fashionable gown? And some people would say, well, why didn't you just go to a less prestigious school? But it was important to me to get the best education I could. And why should that only be available to people who are wealthy? That's not right. So that's why I'm here. Testing, 1, 2. So I went to UW for my undergrad, got a degree in psychology, and went into social work. That cost me about $40,000. I worked 7 years in the social work field, making anywhere from like $11 to $13, never being able to pay more than interest. Now I'm going into teaching at UW too. Honestly, the cheapest option in the area. And by the time I'm done getting my degree in education, I'll have 90 grand in debt, of which I will never be able to pay off. I went to school to be a social worker and now a teacher, and this is how society pays me back. Capitalism is bullshit. Things will never get better until we change and reject the current system.
Anybody else? I got a couple minutes left. We're just going to fill a couple more minutes of stories.
You're going to hear Mark in a couple minutes here. People just sharing their experience with college that here in Seattle before the march.
Hi, my name is Steve. I graduated a long time ago, and I came out with hardly any debt. Back in the 1960s and 1970s, in the state of California, education was free. No tuition, no nothing. In most of the places across the country, it was very similar. Since that time, the productivity of labor and the wealth in this society has gone way, way, way up. And yet now they tell us they cannot afford to provide education to people anymore. And everybody has to take out massive student debts. The wealth has gone to the top. It's time that we switch that around. Fight back against student debt. Fight back to take the wealth that we have all collectively and our ancestors created and take it back and use it for the needs of people.
I'm going to save this quick before we start.